So let's consider the main advantages to lead teams. First of all, it's biblical. Moses delegated just for the sheer demand on his time. Jethro's counsel to Moses was clear in Exodus chapter 18. You can't do it all, son. You're going to have some help. It was not only practical, but it's biblical. The judges did the same thing. They delegated tasks inside and outside the temple. In the New Testament, we find the disciples delegating in Ephesians chapter 4, verses 11 and 12, equipping the saints for ministry, for the work of the ministry, not so that the saints could help the minister do his job, but so that the saints would be equipped to do the true work of the church, the work of the ministry. So what happens when one person does all, or one committee does it all? The maximum that can be done is coming to an end. There's only so much time that a leader has. It gets maxed out, and that leader hits a wall. Even a committee will hit a wall. Number two advantage in lead teams is it expands the ministry. Lead teams can support a growing number of ministries. Unlike a committee or one minister where the amount of ministry time is finite, there's only so much one person can do. No one is left out because that's how it expands. It utilizes the talents and gifts from the total church. You're not limited to just a committee or to a team. It also discovers where God is at work, and the lead team guides people there to find out what they can accomplish in that direction where God has opened doors. A lead team can do anything it needs to regardless of the size of the church. And it also gives variety. There's simultaneous planning and simultaneous events happening, fellowships happening at the same time. Many ministry lead teams can operate at the identical same minutes. And it also doesn't pack up and leave when the youth minister feels like God's called them somewhere else. That ministry is sustainable, and the people will appreciate that. It continues on after you leave. Number three, lead team empowers the youth minister. By this I mean that it allows the youth minister to focus on his or her unique calling. It shifts the emphasis from planning details to coordinating leadership. And a lot of times in smaller churches, it's a little more hands-on. In larger churches, it quickly moves to managing leadership. But it greatly reduces the risk of burnout. It improves family time, personal time. It allows a youth minister to actually be a youth minister. And number four, lead teams provide for greater input and involvement. They provide for input and evaluation. It involves people that wouldn't otherwise be involved. They may not be interested in an entire ministry position, but they're able to take one slice of the pie that's small enough for them to accomplish and utilize their gifts. It doesn't matter what age they are. You can use a middle schooler on a lead team all the way up to using senior adults on lead teams, which is a great balance, and it also integrates in family ministry across the board. It also prepares future youth leaders in training ground. Youth need a place to exercise their gifts and talents besides just playing in the praise band or being on a team, but in a multitude of arenas. So what is the overall goal of the lead team? Of course, it's to increase the number of people sharing the load and responsibility of doing the work of the student ministry. I used to coach some City League baseball as an outreach effort from our church in order to get to know students who might not be connected with a church, and inevitably I would hear my college baseball coach say some of the same things I would say to those players. And I would talk to the pitcher, ask them, what is the most important job of a pitcher? Of course, a little leaguer would say that it's always to throw strikes. But actually the most important job for a pitcher is to throw as few pitches as possible and get out of the inning. Well, that's what lead teams do for you as a youth pastor. It allows you to throw as few pitches as possible and get out of the inning. So the lead team, you're taking the minutes represented in daily ministry and you're giving them away to those whom God has called to do the work of the ministry to students. Lead teams allow you to exchange administrative task minutes for relational investment minutes. We are all ministers, even the volunteers in our ministry. So imagine what a youth leader could accomplish with those same minutes given back to those which require only his attention, such as a confidential or personal development time or a crisis high-touch need of a student. So if lead teams are such a wonderful secret weapon, why don't more youth leaders use them? The first reason is because many are simply not aware of the strategy. A lot of people believe that we've simply skipped a generation in teaching lead teams, and a lot of the guys that are actually running ministries aren't aware of the strategy and its tremendous benefits. The second one is, of course, the old standby, the 7 scary words, that we've never done it that way before. The church says the youth minister does it one way and the youth minister wants to implement it. It does take finessing, but it's well worth the effort. The third thing sometimes is simply ego. We know that we're in a fishbowl. We're being watched. And sometimes if we try something new, we may feel like it looks like we don't really know what we're doing when we simply want to try a strategy that we believe will greatly enhance our ministry. And number four, sometimes churches just simply can't adapt. Either the church or the youth ministry leadership themselves just aren't ready to be as progressive enough to involve that many people in ministry. Trust me, you are on your way towards being a statistic if you don't have some form of ministry managing volunteer army behind you. I like the illustration of the conductor. You know, a conductor in an orchestra, he doesn't play each instrument, though he may be capable of playing many instruments, and if given time, he could probably learn to play just about any instrument. But it'll sound much better if he leads those who can play and he participates as a leader. The goal of the conductor, in other words, is not to play every instrument, but simply to help manage and blend all the instruments into one incredible sounding synchronized symphony. So what sounds better, a one-man band or a symphony? Of course, a symphony. You know, imagine a coach playing all the positions. He probably can play several positions. The coach's job is not to play every position, but to teach and train those who are on the field to play the position with precision and to teach them to play it to the best of their ability. So how silly would it be for a coach to try to play the positions? We want the coach to be the one who trains and teaches to watch his team succeed. If I can serve you in youth ministry, please don't hesitate to contact me. Or if you have a problem or question concerning existing leadership teams or implementing a leadership team at your church, let me know. I'll be glad to help you. Thanks for watching Essential Shorts video. Why don't you drop me a note and let me share your success story with others. And remember, what you do is of great importance in kingdom work.